Welcome back to the Arizona Daily Mix. I want to welcome Kathy Lauer-Gallowitz, who is telling us a little about a great program for our veterans. Good morning. How are you?
Hi, Brad. Thanks so much for having me. How are you doing? I'm great.
I'm doing great, and I'm so glad to have you because veterans have played a very big part in my life growing up. My mother has a veterans home back in Michigan, still has a couple of veterans that she works with and helps out. So this one I was excited to do because I heard about this program you're doing. And let's first talk about what Vanguard Veterans are all about.
Okay, my business, Vanguard Veteran, equips civilians to become veteran champions. Veteran champions are those people who have not served, who go out and create mutually beneficial activities, services that improve the quality of life of our veterans and their families, and by so doing, strengthen our workforce and our community.
That is so great, and it's so important, and I like how you said they are people who haven't served but are working with those who have served, which is so important. I think we do hear about veterans helping veterans, but I know the public who have not been a veteran wants to help out, and this is a way to do it.
Yes, absolutely. Our country spends so much money converting civilians to warriors, of course, which is absolutely necessary. But when those warriors choose to take off their uniform, how do we help them proactively, deliberately, and purposefully reintegrate back into civilian societies and bring them all the way home? It's a loss of identity and a whole culture shift that many of us don't think about. And the other important point here, Brad, is that civilians want to help, but they just don't know how often.
Yeah, and it's so important. And I'm going to ask you about one thing that I found talking with veterans when I worked in San Diego, and that was their finances. And I think that's where we really lose a lot of our veterans because they come back and they've never really had to do finances. And I think that's where they get lost because it gets overwhelming. And I think that's where a civilian come in because, as you said, the skills that a civilian has of knowing to pay their bills, pay their rent, and of course, get food, a veteran might not know that right away. Am I right?
Okay, so one of the big distinctions between military and civilian culture is that in the military, things are highly structured, somewhat predictable, if not pretty predictable, except for crisis and conflict. And so veterans get accustomed to having a steady paycheck and knowing how to advance in their careers. And, the decision-making process is pretty clear, right? So when you take off your uniform and it's a very unstructured arena, and the career advancement process is gray. And oh, by the way, most service members, when they leave service, aren't really prepared for the job search, although that's changing, okay? So that's why finances become a struggle, is because a lot of times, so far, our veterans are not as prepared to succeed post-military service.
Yeah, and that's where your group comes in and why your group is so important. And I know that you have people who are so passionate about making sure our veterans can, of course, relate to being out of the military.
Right. And, there's not one main entity in our society, if you will, that really shoulders this responsibility. And no matter how much money the Department of Defense or the Veterans Affairs has, there are so many needs that our citizenry can get involved in supporting. And Brad, I know this firsthand because I was the director of community outreach for the Ohio National Guard. We built a statewide outreach program in response to 9/11 to educate and engage civilians in support of troops and their families. People would clamor to try to come help, but they felt uncertain, they felt uncomfortable, if not nervous, to really know how to dig in and do substantive things that improved quality life, workforce, and community. Because you know what, Brad? Research shows that when we develop mutually beneficial partnerships and relationships with veterans, that our workforce is more productive, that there's potentially cost savings, and that veterans are civic assets. They are the volunteers in your place of worship, the baseball coaches, the people who vote, help neighbors. So there's a lot of win-win that happens when our citizens get engaged and know how to help.
Yeah, and I like the saying behind you. It says, beyond, thank you for your service, because I think we sometimes just stop at that words right there instead of going, how can I help you with for your service to our country?
And we are so grateful. America loves the warrior, even if they don't support the war, right? And so, we appreciate being thanked for our service, but we need to go a step further. Honoring and recognizing our veterans is so much appreciated, but there are so many substantive ways that you can go beyond thank you for your service. So that's the title of my newly released book called Beyond Thank You for Your Service, the Veteran Champion Handbook for Civilians, chock full of practical ways that civilians from all segments of society can get involved in ways that's part of their daily routine more often than not, and it's easy.
I love it. Okay, how can people here in Arizona get more information about helping out?
Well, first of all, if I could give a shout out to the great things that are going on in Arizona for service members and veterans. The Arizona Department of Veteran Services is doing great things. Arizona Military Families Coalition. The governor has a Veteran Service Advisory Commission that I was recently appointed to. The Southwest Veteran Chamber of Commerce is helping veteran entrepreneurs. And there is an Arizona Corporate Council on veteran careers. So there's a lot of collaboration already going on. But what a civilian can do in Arizona is, first of all, notice the service members, veterans, and their families in your community. Pay attention, notice them, and then act. Get to know them in ways that are COVID friendly now and later that are more personal, okay? And if they can do nothing else, Brad, I encourage you, I challenge every citizen in Arizona to join the Be Connected family, if you will, and learn how to be a veteran navigator. That number is 1-866-4AZ-VETS or BeConnectedAZ.org. That is the first step, but certainly knowing who your neighbors are, knowing who the veterans are that in your workplace or in your faith community, just getting to know them, building trust, asking how you can help, and following through.
Oh, I love it. Kathy, thank you very much, and thank you for all you're doing. And we have other information on aztv.com, all the information on aztv.com, and we'll make sure it gets out to the right people.
Thank you so much. And VanguardVeteran.com is my website, and the book is available on Amazon. Brad, thanks for your interest in all you do to support veterans. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.